Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope you see my screen, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I can able to.
Yes. So now our today's topic would be the first topic in our session,
Okay.
and that is nothing but fundamentals related to the Kotlin. We can start about the Kotlin. Well, I would be uploading all the things on the Git, which will help you. All the source code would be available on the Git, as I said. Also, as I said, I would be uploading these recordings to the YouTube, so you can check it anytime in the future. So code is available on the Git, and each and every recording is available on the YouTube, which will help you in learning in the future, or you can say for your future purposes this will help you. Okay, so we are going to start from the very basic. So first thing,
Okay.
yeah, so first thing we would be understanding, very first thing we would be understanding what exactly Android is. Today we will see, and then we will see from tomorrow we can start actually working with the Android. But today we will see what requirements we have to learn the Android. So first thing, what is Android? Why do we need Android? So when you talk about Android, remember that you are talking about a software stack. When you talk about Android, you are talking about a software stack. Just a minute, I will show you that.
Okay.
So when you talk about Android, people call it as operating system, but technically it's not operating system, but it's a software stack. It is what? The software stack. Let me show you that part. So if you can see my screen over here, you see my screen, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So when you see this thing, remember that we are talking about this architecture. So when you talk about Android, you are talking about these segments in the Android. Android is written on the top of what you can say a Linux kernel. Then there is a HAL, hardware access layer. Then there is a Android runtime. Then there are native libraries. If you see Android runtime and the native libraries, then Android framework is there, Android framework, and you would be working in this area. You would be working in this area. So you would be developing apps over here. You would be developing apps over here. So whatever we are learning, we would be learning this stage of Android, this state of Android, right? And you can, what we would be learning in this course, how to use this part, a second stage or second layer, how to use the second layer and build on the top of that. That is nothing but this. So we would be learning how to use this layer. And remember that there are lot of changes in the Android. There are lot of changes in the Android from the beginning. From the journey of the Android, this architecture has been changed many times. But there are core things, that core things are as it is. There is no change in the core things. Core things are as it is. Right? We would be discussing all of them. but this is the standard software stack of the Android. So when you say what is Android, answer is simple. When you say what is Android, answer is simple. In short, you can say operating system. It is what? Operating system. But as you know, technically something is written on the top of Linux. If you see what is Android, Android is a mobile operating system based on a modified version of the Linux and other software, other open source software, designed primarily for touchscreen mobile devices such as the smartphones and the tablets. The Android developed by the consortium of the developers known as Open Handset Alliance. So these people, if you see, came together and they thought that we will contribute to the Android. So these people came together and they say that if you go to the alliance, there are, just go to the members and see, these many types of members are there: mobile operator companies, handset manufacturers, semiconductor companies, software companies, and commercialization companies. So these people came together and they decided that let's contribute and build a mobile operating system. That is nothing but what the Android is. And they decided that let's build a mobile operating system. And Android is developed by the consortium of developers known as Open Handset Alliance and commercially sponsored by Google. This is very important. It is commercially sponsored by the Google. It was unveiled in 2007 with the first commercial Android device, HTC Dream. Right, this is the first Android device being launched in the September 2008. Now, most of the versions are proprietary. Most of the versions of Android are proprietary. The core components are taken from the Android open source project. Now see, Android AOSP. Remember that we call it as Android AOSP. Most of the things are proprietary, like Google Maps. In Android, Google Maps is not what you can say, you cannot get a source code of the Google Map, or you cannot get, there is something called as Google Play services. You cannot get the source code of the Google Play services, and that's why they say here like that. Most of the Android versions of Android are proprietary. The core components are taken from Android open source project. It is nothing but what? This one, right? And the architecture is here. Whatever architecture we have seen, that architecture you can find over here. Android open source project. Now consider that tomorrow you think that, see, just click on the go to code and here you will find a complete code of the Android. Complete source code you will find over here. Now tomorrow if you think that I want to develop my own operating system, so you will come over here, you will clone this project and you will build your own OS. That is how easy it is. But in the earlier stages, pre-Android, but whenever there was no Android, right, at that time, only fewer OS were available in the market, and that OS were performing what you can say functionalities related to the touchscreen devices, like Symbian was one of the OS, it was there. But concern over there was that was not an open source, and that's why that community has not grown. Now if you talk about Android, when you talk about Android, almost 80% of the market share is with the Android nowadays. Right? Why? Because of this project, Android open source project. So this project, you get it. This project you can get on your machine. You can build and you can develop your own OS. You can develop your own mobile OS. Right?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So this is about what you can say, a little bit about the Android. What is Android? It's a operating system, or you can say it is a technology stack like this. Just a minute. It is a technology stack like this. A Linux kernel, HAL, runtime, native libraries, Android framework, and the apps. Right? So this stack represents complete Android. This stack represents what? Complete Android. Now, whenever you come over here, right, and there is one more document I would like to show you. Go to the docs, and if you see compatibility definition document, means consider that you are developing the Android, so your device should compatible with the Android stack. Now see, welcome to the Android compatibility definition document. This document enumerates the requirement that must be met in order for device to be compatible with the latest version of the Android. Remember that what they are saying, a device to be compatible with the latest version of the Android. To be considered compatible with the Android, device must meet the requirements present in this CDD, compatibility definition document, including any documents incorporated via reference. For each release of the Android platform, a detailed CDD will be provided. The CDD represents the policy aspect of Android compatibility. Now what they are saying here, consider that you want to develop your own hardware, and onto that hardware if you want to run the Android, then you must go through this document first. Let's go here, Android 13 CDD, and in Android 13 CDD you will find the use of must not, required, shall not, recommended is as per, okay, they have given this thing. Now requirement ID assigned for the must requirements. Okay, just scroll below. Device type, an Android open source project provides a software stack that can be used for variety of the device type and form factors. To support the security on the device, the software stack, including any replacement OS or the alternate kernel implementation, is expected to execute in a secure environment. They have given below over here. Now see, if you are more interested, you can go through this full document, right? You can go to this full document. Just you can see what you can just go to the more important. I will show you input devices. Now see, device implementation must include the input mechanism such as touchscreen and non-touchscreen navigation to navigate between the UI elements. See, keyboard, if the device implementation include the support for third-party method editor IME, input method editor, they must declare android.software.input.method feature flag, must implement fully input management framework, and must have the pre-installed the software keyboard. Now see, you are developing your own operating system. You decided that I should have my own device as well. Then you need to worry about, and if you think that I'm going to provide a hardware keyboard, right, you need to read this section. If Android, the device, if you want to make compatible with Android OS, you should read this CDD. Tomorrow if you think that I want to develop my own hardware, I would like to develop my own hardware, right? And you think that, okay, I'm going to run Android 1.6. So you must go to the Android 1.6, a source code is available, and then make your hardware accordingly. You should make your hardware accordingly. I hope you got the concern. What do you mean by this CDD? If you have any question, please go ahead. Compatibility definition document.
Okay. No questions, Ayuda.
Okay. Okay. Now if you see this part, this is available for each and every version. This is available for each and every version. Means Android 1.6 to the Android 13. Everything is here for you. Everything is available. Now, when you talk about Android, we discuss the internal architecture, how exactly Android architecture is, which is nothing but what this part. And if you are keen to go at the hardware level, you can develop that also. Like if you think that I want to go to the Android Auto, I want to develop the project on the Android Auto, you need to know a little bit about what you can say this. You need to know a little bit about this structure. Now, how do you program in the Android? That is important question. Now, if you see here, each and every layer can be programmed over here. Means you can program each and every layer over here. Now, if you want to develop the app, there are two operating systems. There are two programming languages available. First one Kotlin, and second one is first one Java, second one is the Kotlin. Now, if you want to develop what you can say some third-party hardware, you need to attach to your Android device. If you want to attach some third-party hardware, consider that barcode scanner. You might have seen the barcode scanner, and that barcode scanner you might have seen in the shopping mall or anywhere else, and you want to integrate that with the Android. Barcode scanner has to be integrated with the Android. So what you will do, you will create a hardware. That hardware can communicate with the Android via USB, right? And you will write some code in between. You will write some libraries that can be written in a C++, right? Or that can be written in Java also. But mostly if you want to code this area, so this area can be coded in the C++. there is a facility of writing it in the C++ also, right? You can code this area in the C++ and you can write a Java access, or you can say Kotlin access over here. So first code you will write here, and then you will write a library which will make a communication with this layer. That is also possible. We call it as a JNI, or a Android native application development. Native, Android native is there, you can do that also. So roughly we can say Android programming can be done in the three programming languages: C++, Java, and the Kotlin nowadays, right? I can write it over here. Let me close it. And we are discussing Android, fundamentals of Android. So we have discussed this stack, little bit about the Android open source. Then we have discussed about CDD. And now see, you can code Android in three programming languages. First, you can say a native code is in the C++, then this in the Java, and in the Kotlin. Android applications can be developed in the Java and in the Kotlin. As far as this course is concerned, right, I am going to write code in the Kotlin, also in the Java, and we can see the interoperability. Consider that you have developed application 3 years back in the Java, and now you want to provide Kotlin support to it. How do you do that? That also we are going to see in this course. So roughly, if you want to type the Android code, there are three different ways: C++, Java, and the Kotlin. C++ code goes over here, or you can say these three layers, 1, 2, 3. Well, we don't add anything in the kernel, but we add in the native libraries, right? We add in the HAL and the native libraries, HAL and the native libraries. We can add some code at that layer. We can do that, no problem, right? Now, this is how Android can be coded. So Android can be coded by means of Kotlin, Java, and the C++. Now, if you want to learn, or if you want to know about where exactly Android code is going to be typed, we will talk about that little bit later on. That is nothing but Android Studio. I will show you that. Android Studio. So latest version of the Android Studio is the Dolphin. If you see here, the latest version of the Android is the Dolphin. Can you see Android Studio Dolphin? Now, as far as the course is concerned, I request you, so I'm going to type the code in front of you. You can understand the things. You can understand the things, you can learn the things. And before the next session, you need to type that code, right? Before the next session, you need to type that code.
Okay.
Hello? You get?
Okay, Ananda.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I want to check your codes. You should have your own Git repository. We are going to see that how to create the Git repository. You should have your own Git repository, and you need to upload your source codes on the Git repository, right? I am also creating one Git repository, and that Git repository would be getting shared with you so that you can refer the codes and type the code. So for effective for effective learning, watch the video, refer the code, type the code. Watch the video, refer the code on the Git repository, and then type the code and push your code to your repository. This is how we will follow the structure.
Okay.
Okay. Now,
Okay, Aniruddha.
yeah. Now, this is that place where you are going to add your codes, or you are going to type your codes. Android Studio, right? We are going to learn Android Studio in detail. Just don't worry. I'm just giving you today overview. So far what we have discussed: what is Android, how do you code the Android, right? And where do you type the code? Now,
Yes.
people ask the question, Android is limited to the tablets or phones, or what you can do else in Android? Just go to here, developers.android.com, and you can develop, remember that you can develop, see here, Android Auto. You can develop applications inside Android Auto. You can develop applications for the wearables like your Fitbit, or you can say you have a Fitbit or Google Watch. We have over there also your code will work. Means whatever code you will write in the Android, so whatever code you are going to learn over here, with that you can develop a wearable applications, Android apps, then Android Auto apps. Also, you can develop applications for TV also. See, where
Yes.
TV, so you can develop app for wearable devices, TV, Auto, and the Chromebooks. And what? Chromebooks. So here, whenever you talk about Android, remember that you are talking about all these things and not you are talking about all these things and not, you can say, just mobile app development. You getting my point? What I mean to say? Hello?
Yes, Aniruddha.
Multi-device.
All get covering instead of mobile app development. These are all credits covered.
Instead of what? What did you say? Say that again.
Instead of mobile app development, inside the mobile app, these also gets developed by Android.
Yeah, correct. So whatever you are going to learn in this course, by that knowledge you can develop this, and this also, provided that you need to have a little adjustment, because the screen sizes are different, right? If you make a little adjustment to your existing code, you will find that your application is working correctly. You getting my point? What I mean to say? But the foundations of the Android will remain same. There is no change in the foundations of Android. So button would be button here, 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 here. Button click would be same here, same here, same here, same here. If you want to make a network call, same here, same here, same here, same here, no change. Everything is same, right? So what you need to focus on, the core concepts of the Android that we would be covering over here. So here you can say a lot of documentation related things you will find. Multi-device use cases means one application can run on TV, can run on device, and can run on the wearable. How do you do that? Right? All that things can be done together. Okay, one more thing I have forgotten to tell you. We talked about TV, cars, and the Chromebook. There is something called as IoT. The Android comes with a flavor of the IoT. Android comes with one flavor that supports the IoT development also. So you can have, what you can say, you can have certain devices. Google has given certain devices. On that devices you can install the Android things. It is altogether separate OS. Android things is altogether separate OS, but your button would be button over here also. There is no change. Button would be button here. The click listener of the button here. Same. The way we are going to learn, same click listener you can apply. But as I said, with the little adjustments, you need to remember this thing, little adjustments, right? So what we have discussed, what are the different platforms of the Android? We have discussed platforms. So these are the different platforms. If you go to the TV, you will find TV related code they have given. How do you build the TV app? Then Android cars, how do you develop application for the cars? So you can develop 3-4 types of applications like media apps, messaging apps, point of interest, navigation apps, and the video apps for the car. For the Chrome OS, you can build, these are the fully functional apps you can develop over here on the Chrome OS. And Chrome OS as it is working in the Android. So whatever code you will type in the Android, that code will as it is work in the Chrome OS. Little adjustments are there that can be expected. Okay. So this is about what? The different platforms. So you can say Android, you can use Android for wearable technology, you can use Android for TV, you can use Android for IoT, you can use Android for cars, and you can use Android for mobiles and tablets, right? So these many are the things, correct? So these platforms,
Internet of Things.
yeah, IoT is nothing but what? Internet of Things. You are correct.
Okay.
So there is a separate OS. There is a separate OS, Android things. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have got to know what Android exactly is. How do you code the Android, C++, Java and the Kotlin? 80% of code we would be typing in this programming language for this course, and 20%, or you can say 90 and 10% more precisely over here, because everything has been shifted to the Kotlin. I'm going to come to that point in a moment. So when you talk about Android, right, when you talk about Android has came up with altogether a new way of working nowadays. So before 5 years, Android was different, and now Android is different. The way you develop app before 5 years, that was completely different. The way you develop app today is completely different. You cannot use same analogy today that you have used 5 years back. Lot of things has been changed. Android is more restrictive. More restrictions put on the Android for the security and the battery purposes. Right. Now, when you talk about the latest version of the Android, there comes something called as Jetpack. So when you talk about a Jetpack, is a suite of libraries to help developers follow the best practices, reduce the boilerplate code, and write the code that works consistently across the Android versions. So this is very important, across Android versions. Now you will ask me a question, how many Android versions are there? Why it is so needful that you should change your approach of developing apps just to achieve one requirement, Android versions, right? Remember that there are some things which earlier devices has not supported. For example, let me give you a touch, a fingerprint, right? Behind the device we have a fingerprint. We touch over there and your phone gets unlocked. So in the earlier stages, these things were not there. So my question to you is that if you want to develop the Android app which is targeting the API, or which is targeting the device which is not having fingerprint, and one device which is having fingerprint, you need to write a code in such a way that you need to consider that there is one device, and onto that device the fingerprint is not there, but on the other device fingerprint is there. You getting my point?
Yes.
So this is one version of the fingerprint. Second thing, dual camera. There are some devices which are having dual camera, but there are the devices in the older version which are having only single camera. How do you handle the situation? So what was happening in the earlier stages? Each and every developer was handling these scenarios on their own. They were doing these things on their own, right? So every developer was taking some different approach. Handling camera, one organization, other organization may write their own codes. You getting my point? And that's why Google came with the idea, let's change the way we type the code in the Android. And Google has launched one library called as Jetpack.
Okay.
Right? We are going to talk in details about this library. Lot of things we are going to cover over here. Another prominent functionality Jetpack has given you is the navigation. Is what? Navigation. So when you say navigation, in the earlier cases, the way you have navigated from one screen to the other screen was different. Now, the way you implement the navigation with the Jetpack is different. Getting my point? Now, whenever you were using a traditional approach of navigating that was error prone, and you was not understanding exact flow of your app. Means from this screen it is going to this screen, from this screen it is going to this screen. So that was not clear, right? That was not clear. And Jetpack has given you the approach where you can see the things visually. The screen flows you can see visually, right? That's how Jetpack had solved the problem. Now we are going to discuss Jetpack in detail.
Okay. I had a question.
Yeah.
Actually, you are saying the standard versions, some devices have some features like that. They are developing latest updates for some devices. It has some features only, but including the standard Jetpack, we can access any features in this.
Yeah. So you don't need to worry about the backward compatibility. Jetpack will handle the backward compatibility on behalf of you, right?
Okay.
Jetpack will handle the backward compatibility on your behalf. Getting my point? And that's why people or the Android developers follow a Jetpack approach nowadays. We'll see that. Just don't worry. We are just in the first session. We will see how exactly Jetpack works and what is the use of the Jetpack and a lot of other things. Now, how many Android versions are there? Let us see that part. How many Android versions are there actually? Just go to this page and you will find it out. These many are the Android versions which are available. These many are the Android versions. See the Android 13, Android 12. Here you can see all the Android versions together. Android 13, 12, 11, 10, then the Pie, Oreo, Nugget, Marshmallow, Lollipop, 4.4. Now Google says that, boss, I am just going to give support from here and above. Rest of the devices I am not going to support. Right? Now see what they have given little specialities. Let's go through it. The significant changes from the KitKat to the Android 13. What Google says. Google says that if you see Android KitKat brings all of the Android most innovative, most beautiful and most useful features to the more devices everywhere. So this was a breaking change in the Android. You can say Android 4.4 KitKat. Then Lollipop, packed with the new feature for the users and thousands of the new API for developers. It extends Android even further from phones, tabs, wearables to the TVs and cars. So here actually Android have started supporting the TVs and the cars. Then there is something called as Android Marshmallow, Android 6.0. This is a 5.0, 4.4, 6.0 Marshmallow. Get your apps ready for Android 6.0 Marshmallow. What's new? Runtime permissions, DOS mode, and the apps app standby, power saving features, new assist technology, and many more. But see, runtime permission. So before using the camera, you need to take the permission from the user. Before using the camera, you need to take the permission from the user that has been added into the Android 6.0 Marshmallow. Then there is something called as Nugget. Android 7.0 brings the new feature for performance, productivity, security. Test your apps with the new system behaviors to save the power and the memory. Take the advantage of the multi-window UI or direct reply notifications. Means we can reply directly in the notification itself. That is achieved over here. 7. Then we have something called as Oreo, smarter, faster, and more powerful than ever. The world's favorite cookie is your new favorite Android release, Oreo. Google says that you should support at least from 4.4 to the Android 13. Above 4.4 to the Android 13. Right? Then there is something called as Pi. Android 9 harnesses the power of artificial intelligence to give you more from your phone. Now it's smarter, faster, and adapts as you use it. As you use it, it adapts. Then this was the breaking change. This was the breaking change. This was the breaking change. Right? Almost all are the breaking changes in the Android. But this was the tremendous breaking change, and this was the breaking change. So your existing apps had stopped working altogether. Until and unless you implement these features, your apps won't be working. Right now, say Android 10, build the app experiences with the dark theme, gesture navigation, support new protections for the user privacy and security, extend your apps with the high performance codecs, biometrics, better biometrics, faster app start, Vulkan 1.1, NN API 1.2, foldables and the 5G. Foldables means what? The screen can fold. That's what the foldables are. Then Android 11, people-centric, expressive with the new control space, more privacy features, extend your app with the conversation notifications and bubbles, try one-time permissions, surface, device, media in controls, work faster tools like compatibility toggles, ADB incremental installs, and more. A new system UI, it's Android 12 now. New system UI material, expressive, dynamic, personal, extend your apps with the registered widgets, app search, game mode, new codecs, supports new protections like privacy dashboard, approximate location, and lot of other things. And now presently is an Android 13. We are going to type code for this thing as well. Build for the privacy. Photo picker, notification permissions, improve the productivity with the themed app icons, pre-app languages, and the clipboard preview. Build for modern standards like Bluetooth LE audio. LE means low energy. MIDI 2.0 over the USB, deliver a better experience on the tablets and the large screens. This is the latest thing that we have, and we would be typing the code for this thing. Now, we have discussed today something about Android, which are related to the development related things. Tomorrow, I would be starting with the Kotlin application development. What is a Kotlin and other things we will start from tomorrow. So today's session was the introductory session, what we would be doing in the course and what Android is exactly. Fine. Hello?
It's okay, Aniruddha.
Yeah.
Understand.
So let's start tomorrow with something
Okay.
related to the Kotlin. Okay?
Okay. Okay. Aniruddha, how I can see this session now to remember?
Yeah, I will upload it to the YouTube and share the link with you.
Okay, Aniruddha.
Okay?
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Thank you. Let's meet tomorrow 7:30 p.m. sharp. Okay?
Okay, sure. Okay, sure.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm stopping the video.
Thank.
Yeah.
Okay, Aniruddha.